And Mohammed, please take it away with your MotoChris walkthrough. Thank you.
Let me just share my screen. Oh, so you can see my screen, right? Perfect, thanks. I think this merge records was merged. Let me just get it quickly from here. And yeah, I think Igor, Patrick, you're involved in this MR, but I will explain it one more time for also Julie. Julie, I don't know if you ever seen this MR or not, but everyone. So we start from here from Task Factory. When a request is being sent to the back end, the request is landing here in this Task Factory. Previously, we had just an instruction which is used for code completion, or we also had code generation. We had if it's code completion, use this one. If not, use code generation. When we wanted to introduce the prompt for self-managed, we just did the change. If the code generation feature is set and it has a self-hosted model attached, then fire the self-hosted code generation. Otherwise, keep using the default code generation task, right? And here, this method is just checking if the AI setting feature for code generation, finding the AI feature for code generation, the setting itself, and checking if it has a self-hosted model attached or not. Okay, please go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, when on line 33 there, if code generation's feature setting is self-hosted,
yes,
that's coming from the configuration settings, is it?
Exactly.
Okay.
This is when you set the code generation in the UI, and you create a record for code generation, right? And then we fetch the self-hosted model, which includes the API and the token and also the model name.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And we are targeting, in this MR, we are hitting this part, okay? And when we hit this part, we go to the self-hosted code generation, which is another task here. And this task has an endpoint name for code generation. It's actually inheriting from the parent task for code suggestion, which we're using for the default tasks and the self-hosted tasks at the moment. And what we do is we are passing the feature setting. We are passing the settings that the user created. And then we are fetching the self-hosted model from this setting, because every setting is attached to a self-hosted model, right? And we pass the model name and the endpoint, okay? There is also another MR now being in process. Let me just get this one because it's also important for us to be aware of it. So we might be having a token, right? An API token for the model. Igor is working in the Python side for the AI gateway, and this is a GitLab side. We are also passing the API token. So if you go back here, we should have an API token passed when the other MR is merged. And for that, we are just passing the params that needed to be sent to the AI gateway, right? But what's missing for this param is the prompt itself. Now we have the params the user sent, we have the model, we have the whole data, but we don't have the prompt. For the prompt, we have a Mistral messages class. Oh, I click this one. We have a Mistral messages class, which we are adding the all Mistral message related stuff to this class. This class is like the request param is the request being sent also to the AI gateway. What we are doing here is we are using the params that we are sending. For example, the endpoint, the model name, if the model name exists, the model provider, which is Light LLM, and the prompt version, which is currently version 3. And we are by the end, we are sending this prompt, this hash, okay? And this hash contain a role, which is user. This is a prompt from a user, right? And it's a content, which is an instruction. And the prompt itself is this instruction, right? We are telling the AI model to please follow those instructions. And using this instruction, this is how Mistral works. Mistral works with this they call it like the boss, and this one is an instruction. And you open a tag, you open an instruction tag, you add your instructions, and then you start giving the models the instructions that you'd like to give them. And then for sure also you're passing the language name, which is a dynamic thing. It's not fixed, so we fetch it also from the params that we have. And we do have some examples for each language. And those example section are fetched using this generation examples for each language. For example, the language, the generation examples. And we fetch examples. For example, if we are writing a Python code, we fetch the Python examples. If we are writing a Ruby code, we fetch the Ruby examples. And then we are inputting the whole example section as an instruction also, right? So it's somewhere here. That's it. So by the end, we are sending the code, the instructions, and some examples to the AI model. And when we send the request to the AI gateway, it sends the request to Ulama, and then we get the response in our UI, like this one, for example. This is a self-hosted model call. Now we got the response, and I don't know if I showed this or not here, but yeah, the request is fetched from Ulama actually, like the gateway, and it's passed to the local hosted model. So that's pretty much this part of the code. And for sure also we are passing the same, okay, where was it? Yeah, we are also passing the API token for the AI gateway. So that's it. Any questions or Sean, I see you? No.
You'll find I always ask lots of questions in these. My
Oh.
question is, how close is this prompt to the original prompt?
In terms of accuracy or?
No, I'll come to that in a moment. My first question is, how close is the actual prompt text to the other prompt?
The prompt text is the text. For example, this one is very identical with the original one, right? And the way of prompting is different. So the text itself is similar, but the prompt itself is different, like the opening tags or whatever.
Yep.
But that's a good point because I forgot to mention that I did not see any inference time issues or something like that when testing this with a larger model or like a larger text or fewer lines of text, but we can for sure iterate on that. We actually did some analysis here and comparing this prompt to the other prompts that we have, like the default one we have, which is Anthropic. And yeah, it works like better, like it's 87 similarity score, and the previous one was 85, and now it's 82, I think.
Right, so it's better than the Anthropic version.
Yeah.
Bravo.
I don't know, Bruno, you have access to the dashboard for showing the whole
Yeah, you need to
values, but I think, yeah.
Description there. But this test, the code generation benchmark, so we have a reference code that you expect it to match. And that's the similarity that you calculate, right? So when you calculate the generated text from Mistral against the reference code, and according to this, we got a score better than actually the production code generation from code suggestions.
Okay.
Amazing. I think, Julie, did you have your hand up?
I was just going to ask about the what the gateway prompt version was about, but I think you sort of touched on it a bit. This is like another iteration. I might be missing a bit of context though, but if this is the third version, like why did we add another prompt version? Sorry, was it just to improve on the previous version to get more accuracy?
This one or?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not well versed about the prompt version in the AI gateway, but for example, when I try to send 3 for Anthropic, it says you have to send 1 or 2. So I believe it's related to the prompts that we're having. Because the AI gateway is receiving some text and it is translating this text to the ways that the model is understanding, but maybe Igor, you can, if you are aware of this prompt version thing, please share it.
I can
Also.
quickly explain. It's more like an API format version rather than a prompt content version. So for example, we used to have something like a prompt stream, just a simple line, a simple string of with the text, text of the prompt. But then we changed it to the hash format, which accepts role, user, like instruction, like content, role, user, content. So it's a different format. So we specify the third version. So now AI Gateway knows how to parse this prompt.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
But if we change this to 2, it will not work, or change it to 1, it will not work, because I believe, Igor, you introduced the Mistral formatting in version 3, right? Or how it works?
So yeah, it's version 3, the third version of the prompt. Yeah, it's accept like messages, but like it also has like API version. It's like V2. It's in the code suggestions prompt base or task base, something like API endpoint version. So yeah, this one works.
Patrick, you had a question?
Patrick,
I started talking in the air, sorry. So I have 2 questions. So well, let me just ask the first question. Does the model provider needs to be like down the line, maybe a parameter? Or that like in
I think
the DB or something?
it could be Abraham, but since this is Mistral messages, I think we should for every model, we should have enclosed, like you should have like the model provider enclosed inside instead of passing it. But for sure we can change the whole params to be passed, but I believe it fits better here if it is inside the class.
Yeah, I'm asking because the client is gonna use Mistral, but it's gonna have another API format. And I know Light LLM just basically I don't think Light LLM support that API format. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, I'm not sure about which formats they're going to use.
Yeah, something.
There's an issue, right, Patrick, that can be shared. Remember we're on a live call here, so it can be shared in Slack. Yeah.
Okay, so if there's any fix needed, we can just pass this to be a param, but from where we are going to fetch this param, this is a question that we can discuss. So we can allow the customer to also add their provider to the GUI if they want. So we can discuss this one.
At the self-hosted model level and not at the feature. Yeah,
exactly.
I think as long as they are OpenAI compatible, because that's what we implemented in the AI Gateway. So when we call the Mistral API, right now we test with Olama. We do need to prepend OpenAI to the domain because that makes the API compatible. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Igor. So I think as long as they have a server which provides an OpenAI compatible API, it should work. Although it'd be nice to know also how are they serving these models, right?
That's the problem. It's not compatible with OpenAI.
Let's take this conversation outside this call. But thank you for raising it, Patrick.
Oh, we can keep discussing the other one, and yeah, related to the MR, because like you had another question, Patrick?
I don't think it's really related to what you presented. So
okay. Well, then any questions related to the MR itself, or other questions also okay?
Just a quick question for clarification, and maybe for the next question that Julie has in the document. It's about what is the difference between generation and completion, code generation and code completion. Yeah, just for clarification.
Okay, so for code completion is let me just do like, I don't know if I have the setup now or not, but I will just drop a comment. For code generation, when we say, please generate X, like whatever, if you use like flashes or not. So this like heads the code generation, right? And if I say console dot, it heads the code completion, right? So code completion, when you start writing code and the AI model is replying to you with a code back. Code generation, when you ask the AI model to generate you something. But there's something Bruno and I discovered recently. If the file is big, it fires like code completion. If the file is big, it go to code completion. If you did not submit like a message, if the file is small, it also it fires a code generation. If, for example, if you created an empty file and you start typing something, there is nothing to complete. The file is empty, right? So there is no completion. So it's a code generation, right? So yeah, maybe Bruno, if you
If I
want to
can
take
add
it.
that so the intent of using generation and completion is not chosen by the client, but chosen by the Rails backend. And this is based on a few predicates, including the inclusion of a parameter in the API, which you can just explicitly ask for the intent of completion or generation. But also, yeah, we discovered through testing that if the length of the contents in the file is short enough, you can't really trigger completion and so forth. Maybe we should try to map this to be more precise, right? When can you trigger completion and when can you trigger generation? Because this was a surprising behavior that we discovered.
Yeah, I believe it is like, yeah, but I like just as a user, it does not matter for end users which is being fired, right? Or it matters if they are fired code completion, code generations. But I believe the file size thing is not a good thing for like the file size, or like the big file fire something and small file fire something. We should use like more a way of, we could use the AI model to say if this is a prompt, like a request or a completion. For example, if I'm saying generate, if I'm giving an order, then it's like a generation, right? But if I'm sending just directly the code without human written text, then this is a completion. So this is how we should be differentiating between this one, but this is not in place, and I don't think this is the scope of the MVC for sure. But we can talk about it in an issue or something.
It's not the scope of the MVC, but I think if you come across any ideas like this, please open an issue and we'll have a discussion issue and maybe work with the Duo team on these type of things. Patrick's got his hands up.
Oh, I forgot my first question.
What's the second question?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna take the second one. Oh yeah, is that documented anywhere about like the file size and stuff like that and how it's routed?
Yeah, good point. It should be.
I'm not sure if it's documented, because if it was documented, we should not have like spent like hours trying to debug it. And it was not there. We looked for the documents, and what we just noticed is the params being sent. If it's sent, the intent completion is hitting completion. If not, it's hitting like the if statement based on the if statements that you're going to fall in. But the param of file size is something that I don't think is written anywhere.
Yeah, okay. That maybe it should be, at least for the time it's implemented like that. And my second,
someone could do a small MR to document it, make a note. Yep.
And my second point is, so in marketing, I think the distinction between code completion and code generation is if the cursor is on a code, that's how I understood it. If the cursor is on a comment of a code, it's code generation, because then you just comment, and that's how I use it also personally. Then you just comment what you want the model to generate. But if the cursor is like in the middle of the code, then it's code completion, which for me it makes sense. And that's maybe how we could trigger it, just by having like maybe a registry of like how each language comments its code and where the cursor is. Okay, where is the start of the line? Okay, is this a comment? Okay, it's a comment. Then we should just generate the code, because that's how it shows in the marketing material, at least.
Pat, I think we're using the exact same mechanism. I need to check AI Gateway though, because I did see this logic, this specific logic, right? If it's in the if the cursor, if it's in the last line of a comment, etc. I'm not sure if we're reusing that fully, Mo, because we are hitting a different model in AI Gate, right? But I did see some of this logic in AI Gate. So we should just try to check if we are reusing everything that Code Suggestions already developed, right? When to trigger specifically. And yeah, just to see if we are already getting this for free or not.
Just a quick note about it. Yeah, this logic is probably it's implemented on the client side. For example, in Web ID or VS Code ID. So I believe it's their responsibility to decide which API endpoint to call and with which parameter. So and I believe it works right now like this. Yeah, if you have a comment, then it's called like generations. If it's the nothing else to, if it's something that must be completed, then it's called the completions endpoint. So I believe it works like this. Yeah, but from our perspective, we just need to decide which model to call, the one that is optimized to a particular operation, right?
I will be very quick here because we're on time. Thank you for this. I would like to add this point here. This instruction, an instructor is a class that we should be looking at to understand how the instruction is working. And instruction means code generation, right? Instruction. So if it is not an instruction, it's code completion. So we should be, if you'd like to just know, just go in instruction extractor and try to figure it out how it works. And it works here first comment regex or whatever. It tried to say if the intent is completion or the intent is generation. So try to follow up with those two variables and see where they're being set. And yeah, I can just do this also in another pairing session if you'd like to. We can just go through it. But just to make it short now, let's stop sharing and give the mic to Sean.
Yeah, so Bruno, thank you. Sorry, Mohammed, I apologize. Thank you so much. I saw Bruno's in the middle of the screen, that's why. Thank you so much for this presentation. It was awesome. Really great to see our first prompt merged. And we're going to share this up on YouTube. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.